In 2016, CSU Chancellor Timothy Waite commissioned phase 2 of a study by Jennifer McGuire and Dr. Jennifer McGuire and Dr. Rashida Crutchfield, called the CSU Basic Needs Initiative, which found that 41% of all CSU students had experienced hunger and 10% had experienced homelessness in the last 12 months. These students do everything right. They go to class, they take care of their families, they have a job. They have 2 jobs, but due to, among many other things, a lack of family supports and the enormous cost of living in California, struggle every day with the basic necessities of food and shelter. And I am one of them. Nothing about the way that I look would indicate that I am homeless. Nothing about the way that I talk would indicate that I struggle to find a safe place to sleep at night most days of the week, or that food is not something that I take for granted. But like the 10% of students I mentioned, I have made it my mission to go under the radar, to get my degree, not just under impossibly difficult circumstances, but without standing out from my peers, blending in seamlessly, going under the radar. Until now, that is. The journey that has led me to this stage has brought me here because it's taught me 2 things. Community saves futures, and community saves lives. Let's rewind to fall of 2011. I came out of high school and into Long Beach City College, like many people fresh out of high school going into community college, utterly clueless. I had no idea what I wanted to major in. I had no experience navigating the mind-numbing bureaucracy of higher education. And to make matters even more difficult, I did not have a family to support me while I was fending for myself in an extraordinarily difficult economy. What I thought was going to take 2 years ended up taking 3 years. Well, and then it took 4 years, and then it took 5 years, and then finally 6 years. 6 years of mistakes and false starts and trying to make myself fit into a system of higher education that didn't have a place for me or people like me. The people that the world had already written off as burdens and liabilities and lost causes, not the ones that they thought were destined for degrees. But through this long and winding tunnel, I saw a light when in fall of 2016, I received the email confirming that I had been accepted as a transfer student for spring of 2017 to California State University, Long Beach. I remember opening that email and looking at it and just mulling that word over. Accepted. It was like a ray of sun just gently caressed my face after a very long winter. I was so excited to be going into an environment where I was around people like me rather than just floating off aimlessly on a raft for one at sea. But it wasn't going to be so simple. If it was, I wouldn't have a TED Talk. I watched as I not only entered into a new educational environment, but entered into a new level of terror as I watched the last safe alternative I had for overnight shelter disappear before my eyes. Despite the circumstances, despite how hard they were and how hard they still currently are, I was very lucky to be here at California State University, Long Beach. I mean, I had to fight to obtain many things, but I was able to apply for the CalFresh program and receive EBT benefits in the form of food. I eventually had an outstanding financial aid counselor who did everything possible to make sure I got what I needed in my financial aid package. And most of all, I had extraordinary professors in the theater arts department who had my back every step of the way and made sure that I was going to pass my classes. But even in an environment of support, old habits stick. I had learned early on in my life that the only way to deal with trouble was to deal with it yourself and to not let anyone see anything else but an exterior impervious to need. This attitude gave birth to the erroneous belief that I was the only one going through this particular situation, that on a campus of approximately 37,000 students, that I was just a tragic outlier, a pathetic anomaly, someone who had had such cosmically bad luck that it made me homeless, and that nobody could possibly relate to what I was going through. So I put all my mental and emotional energy into just that, going under the radar, not sticking out, not letting anybody in on what I thought was my shameful secret. This task, plus being a full-time student, plus not knowing where I was going to sleep at night, broke me. We all have a breaking point, and this was mine. I could not cope. I was missing class, I was exhausted, I ended up falling asleep for entire days just out of the sheer stress and exhaustion of what I was going through, or missing class just to make up on work I was falling behind on. Even though I was being afforded help on every possible front, even though I had the support of wonderful teachers in my department, CSULB is still primarily an educational institution. And food and shelter are not primarily or traditionally the concerns of an educational institution. It simply was, and still is, not enough. As I laid in the USU on a couch, face up, staring at the stucco ceiling as if it had the answers, with my bag half spilling its contents on the ground and my mind somehow managing to scream and race and be numb all at the same time, I had an epiphany. This is not going to work. I didn't really know how to proceed with this realization. I knew I couldn't go on like this, but I didn't really know where to turn. I mean, should I go to a support group, I thought? Everywhere I looked on campus, there were open conversations about things like mental health, feminism, and racism, but no conversations about what it's like to be materially in need, to be hungry, or to, not know where you're going to sleep at night. I was just, what do I do? It became clear to me that if I wanted a space where students could openly support one another about the struggles they were going through with housing and food, I was going to have to make it myself. And trust me, I did not want to be the person to speak up and say that. I mean, what do you say? Hey, Liz, how you doing? What's been going on? Oh, being homeless. Yeah. No, I couldn't even begin to imagine where I was supposed to start with this. But everywhere I turned, everything I read about homeless students seemed to be written by everybody except a homeless student. And most of all, I was missing out on the chance to just be a student. Even now, I am only half invested in my classes, half invested in my work, my art. The other half of me is consumed with gnawing worry. And I wonder to myself, if that other half of me got the chance to be a student as well, what could I accomplish? So I did what I knew I was good at, something I knew that I had a natural talent for: spending time on Facebook. I plastered the campus with flyers for a private Facebook group I had made for any student struggling to join and be connected directly with people who wanted to help them. People from ASI, journalists, policymakers, grant writers, and anybody who just wanted to assist a student in need. Basically, the people that I had reached out to when I had hit the end of my rope. I wanted the red tape and the isolation to immediately fall away and to have a place where students could get their needs met directly and as quickly as humanly possible. And I'm very proud to say it worked. What didn't get any responses in the first week slowly started to pick up. And within a month, I'd had 5 students privately contact me about their struggle to survive. I was completely blown away. I wasn't expecting really anything, but apparently I wasn't alone. I mean, it's one thing to know that you're not alone in the abstract with a statistic. It's another thing to talk to somebody directly who's going through the same thing as you. That is a very powerful thing. Though many of the students who have approached me wanted to stay anonymous, some of them actually did come forward in the group and speak their own story. A lot of really brilliant, proactive student supporters eventually joined, one of them being Sarah Goldrick-Rab, the author of Paying the Price and the founder of the Hope Center for College Community and Justice. With Sarah Goldrick-Rab's relentlessness and this group, we were able to get a $1,000 FAST Fund grant directly to CSULB that went to helping the needs of a student in immediate financial crisis. I was floored. What had started as a private internet group blossomed and had direct and tangible results within a month. I became addicted to helping and finding students like myself. I even eventually started a club on campus with other group members, dedicated to raising awareness and visibility for the student population struggling with housing and food security, though this proved very difficult with the extraordinarily limited number of students who wanted to come forth directly and say what they were going through. I am proud to say that to this day, we have raised $700 for a student who was sleeping in her car at California State University Dominguez Hills. We have spoken directly with Rachel Sumka and Marissa Shipman of Swipe Out Hunger about better ways to hone interventions in which students help other students with hunger. I have shared my story with the nonprofit Rise California, a nonprofit dedicated to passing free state tuition for all students in public schools in California. I was able to moderate a panel at the Real College Conference in Philadelphia in 2017, where I was able to speak directly with policymakers one-on-one about what must be done if students like myself are to finally contribute to our full potential rather than hide and be in survival mode. With help of the Unitarian Universalist Church just down the way, we were able to make food deliveries to a disabled student and their family over the summer when they had nowhere else to turn for food support. I am so proud of what we've done. I can't even begin to tell you how transformative it is to use that suffering and to support someone else. But let me reiterate, it is not enough. And the only reason why these amazing accomplishments were able to happen was because of the heroic efforts of the community that we built and are still building. I truly believe the only thing that's standing between us and a campus completely free from hunger and homelessness is you. This is my invitation to you. We, the students who refuse to give up on our future, we need you. And to the students watching this talk right now, I get it. I know what it's like. The looks of contempt and confusion, the assumption that you must be in your situation because you're somehow not fit for society. I get it. I'm struggling with it all the time, and I'm struggling with it right now as I speak. But we don't have to do this by ourselves. We really don't. You'd be shocked how kind people are, how wonderful they are when you just open yourselves to them. We are not in need of charity. We are in need of justice because our right to fight for our future, as I just said, is not a privilege. It is a right. our future, our chance to make our future, is what is justly owed to us. We are beating the odds every single day in ways that people can't even imagine, but we don't have to beat the odds by ourselves. I started a social media campaign called #IamHere with the goal of making CSULB the most food and housing secure CSU campus in the CSU system by 2021. Yeah, heck yeah, that's a good thing. And eventually making the CSU university system, the California State University system, the most housing and food secure university system in America. And I invite any student who is struggling, any student who wants to help, and any person here who wants to help annihilate the stigma of housing and hunger to join me, join our community. Struggle together. Struggle out in the open so that one day, no student will ever have to struggle like this again. Thank you.